We're back out on the Bass Buggy, and today we're talking about the brand that everyone loves to hate. Googan Baits. Are they really that terrible? I give my honest review. Stick around. As spring rolls into summer, we'll have more bass fishing tips, tricks, and hacks that's easy on your wallet. So please, subscribe if you haven't already. Hit that like button to let me know you really enjoy this content, and smash that notification bell so you're clued in to future content. And please, don't forget to share this video on your social media so others can find this content too. Thank you so much. Welcome back to Lowbrow Fishing, and today we're taking on the polarizing topic of Googan Baits. Now, whatever you think of the Googan Squad, whether you like their videos or you don't like their videos, you have to admit they've taken the fishing world by storm. In a very short time, they've managed to put their stamp on the business. And today, I'm going to be conducting an honest review after having used their products for several years. And we're going to break this review down into 3 different parts: their soft plastics, their hard baits, and their jigs. I've used all 3 of them quite extensively, and I've got several opinions that I think are quite interesting. So, let's find out. Are Googan Baits really that terrible? Oh, there we go, I'm on. Oh, that's a... right.
Is your chesty on?
Yes, my chesty is on. It's recording too. He's not big. He's not huge, but he's not bad. He's not huge, but he's not bad. He's pretty good size though. He's pulling drag. Well, he's actually got a good bit of weight to him. He's pulling. Wow, okay. He's bigger than I thought he was, apparently. Oh yeah, he's good. He's big. Net, please. All right. There's another one. That's another nice one. There we are. Freaking finally. Sorry, dude. For me, the thing that stands out about the Googan Squad is they are a generational thing. Older anglers, such as myself, people who have 50 long since in the rearview mirror, tend to frown on the Googan Squad, while younger anglers are the ones who more embrace their bold and brazen attitude. Their videos are more challenges and based on entertainment rather than pure fishing, and a lot of older anglers just want to watch Bill Dance and Roland Martin fish. And there's nothing wrong with that. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that there's a wrong way, one way or the other. I'm not qualified to make that decision. I'm just highlighting a difference in what one type of angler prefers over another type of angler. I think that's one of the problems older anglers have with the Googan Squad. They tend to be flashy, they tend to be bold, and they're newer, they're trendy, they're hip, they're now. And that's off-putting to a lot of older guys who just want to watch a fishing video. Now, first up, we're going to go with their soft plastics. And Googan Baits offers a wide variety of their soft plastics. Now, this here is their Slim Shake worm. This is, I believe, the 7-inch variety. Normally I use the 10-inch variety, but those are kind of hard to come by. This is in a June bug color. This is a fresh, brand new pack. And Well, it's a worm that I use when I'm looking for a larger worm presentation. If you are familiar with the Zoom Old Monster or the Man's jelly worms, then you're going to recognize how these worms are fished. They're great on a Texas rig and they work really well on a shaky head. I've heard other anglers complain that the plastic is too soft and that it tears too easily. Personally, I've not had that problem when it comes to regular fishing. However, whenever you do catch a fish, it's pretty much one and done for the worm. They do tear up whenever fish hits them. Is that a good thing or a bad thing? I don't know. Either way, I don't have a problem with hookups because the worm just kind of tears and gets right out of the way and lets the hook penetrate. So at the end of the day, that's what I care about. Am I able to bring the bass in on the end of the line and not have that worm get in the way? To me, that's a pretty big issue. So I'm not really going to have big knocks for the worms being soft. Actually, I kind of like it. They do tear up kind of easily. A lot of anglers don't like that. For me, it's not really been a problem. Another one of their soft plastics is this, the Kraken Craw. Actually, the Kraken Craw is their own type of craw. It's not really that similar to anything. You've got the Yum Christie craws and you've got the Strike King Rage craws, and those are very different. They're two totally different sorts of craws. Well, the Kraken Craw falls into that. It's its own animal. It doesn't really copy too much off of any other specific type of craw. I like the smaller presentation of these because they work well in a variety of instances. I can use it as a trailer on even a bitsy bug all the way up to a 1/2 ounce flipping jig, and I can use the same trailer for that. Now they do tend to have different colors on either side. This side tends to be this side here is lighter than this side. I guess that's to give you an option as to what color you really want to throw. I honestly don't know if it makes a difference. However, when it comes to using them as a trailer or on a Texas rig, I find that they're pretty effective. You're going to find that you're going to go through them a lot quicker than you would say a Rage Craw or a Christie Craw. But I don't notice any drop in effectiveness. They catch fish and I don't have any problem with them. They work quite well. I mean, you can kind of see what I think of their lunker logs. This is a new pack and already it's almost empty, and this is their rattling Ned and it's almost empty. So I do go through quite a few of them. Overall, their soft plastics are probably where they're most innovative. Obviously, you're going to have your clones, like the Lunker Log is a direct copy of a Stickbait or a Senko. Everybody's doing a larger presentation like the old monsters from Zoom, and that's their Slim Shake worms. However, they catch fish. Their soft plastics, like I said, that's where you're going to find the most. That's where you're going to find that they're the most differentiated from other brands. That's where they stand out the most. The Kraken Craws different from other types of craws. Their worms, like with the exception of the Lunker Log, but their worms are going to be a little bit more different. The Slim Shake worm, the Mondo worm, and their new one, the Blazing worm, which you'll recognize it as just a regular curly tail or speed worm, but it's got some things on it that make it just a little bit different. Now, next up, we have the jigs, and this is the Googan thick jig, and this is a flipping jig, and then we've got the Grass Hero, obviously, which is a swim jig. I've used these. I've caught a lot of fish on them. They skip just fine. They do everything that you ask a jig to do, and they do it very well. These, the price point on these is probably about $4, which is quite reasonable. It's not nearly as expensive as you think it would be. Googan has a reputation for being a pricier bait. And yes, their soft plastics tend to be pricier in the $6, $7 range for a pack. However, their jigs tend to be a little bit cheaper. I think these were $4 a piece. And that's a regular price at Academy. I don't know what they are at Dick's. I don't have a Dick's by me that I go to, so this is what I paid for these. They're about $4, maybe $5. Either way, reasonable. They are in line with other jigs that are equivalent, like Strike King or Sixth Sense. And like I said, they work just fine. I have had no trouble with them. I tie them on, I put a trailer on, and I work them like I would any other jig, and I catch fish. I haven't had problems with the hooks bending out, and these hooks, I got to give it to Googan. These things have got some sharp hooks. I have stuck myself good with these things, and they don't want to come out, so be careful. These hooks they're sticky. They're super sticky. That is one thing consistent across their jigs and their hard baits. They've got some super sticky hooks. Now, kind of in that gray area between hard baits and jigs is the Zinger spinnerbait. Now, I'm kind of going with more of a jig because it is a skirted material, but I mean, it's a spinnerbait. It works just like any other spinnerbait. I work it around wood. It's nothing special, but it's nothing terrible. It works great. It does exactly what you want a spinnerbait to do. Again, it's got a sharp, sticky hook, and the price was fairly reasonable. I think I paid $6 for this, and I think it's a 3/8 version. And I've got several of these. They're, they work okay. Is it a Booyah or a War Eagle or a KVD? If that's what your thing is, it's probably not going to stack up to those. However, if you're just looking for a good spinnerbait to be your workhorse bait and get the job done, these do just fine. Moving on to the hard baits, this is where you're going to see probably the least amount of innovation from Googan. You've got the mini banger here, and there's the bigger one, the regular banger. You've got the clutch, and those are their crankbaits. And then you've got the flat banger, which is the flat-sided version of the square bill. And they are, again, without sounding generic, they get the job done. They are not going to revolutionize the industry. They are not going to change the world. But what they will do is they will work effectively in the water and they will catch fish. Now, these can tend to be a little bit more pricey. I think these are $8 a piece. I think most Googan crankbaits are in the $8 range. And again, I've used all sorts of Googan crankbaits, and this is probably where I have my biggest amount of opinion. Either this is a real hit or a real miss with me. The banger has been pretty good. The clutch has been pretty good. They've been great baits. I've caught fish on them. However, there is a jerkbait that Googan makes called the Scout. And I'll be honest, that jerkbait is phenomenal. It is hands down my favorite jerkbait. I don't have any right now because I just broke off my last two, and last time I was at the little lake. But I go through a lot of them and they catch fish. What else can you say? I don't know what it is about that Scout, but it is easily my favorite jerkbait. Out of all the jerkbaits that I've tried, I've had the most success on that Googan Scout. I've caught bigger fish and I've caught numbers on it. So I've got to give them props for that. I don't know what's different about it. I don't know if anything's different about it. Maybe it's just my confidence level. But again, if you're looking for a Googan bait to try to start off with, that would be the one that I would suggest. That Googan Scout jerkbait is pretty good. I really like it. And there's always got to be at least one clunker on the list, right? And for me, it's this monstrosity, the Clickbait. I don't know what Googan was thinking when they designed this thing. It is all over the place. It's got these beads. It's got this great big wire frame. And this thing's heavy duty too. You're not bending it. It is supposed to be their version of a chatterbait or a bladed jig. You can see this thing looks pretty beat up. This is the only one I've ever purchased, and I still have it. I've never caught a fish with it. It's never even had a bite, and I have tried and tried. You can see how beat up this thing looks. I've tried and tried and tried to catch a fish, and I consider myself a pretty proficient chatterbait fisherman. I make my own chatterbaits. I've used jackhammers and thunder crickets and regular chatterbaits, regular brand chatterbaits, and I've caught fish on all of them. A chatterbait is one of my greatest confidence baits. If I'm ever in an area that's got a lot of grass or a lot of slop or a lot of cheese, I feel pretty confident I can tie on a chatterbait and work it through there and get a few bites. And they even skip very well. This thing does not skip. This thing does not skip at all. It's about as heavy as a truck. So you're going to need a medium action or larger rod. It says 1/2 ounce, but with all this garbage on it, it's probably closer to, it's probably closer to 3/4 because this thing is not light. It's gangly. It's all over the place. And I'll be honest, I just don't care for this thing. I've tried it. I've tried to give it its due diligence. I'm just not a fan. Now, other anglers may have caught a lot of fish on it, tell me I don't know what I'm talking about. But with my experience, I don't like it. This is the one thing that Googan makes that I can do without. And there you go. There's my review of Googan baits. Their soft plastics tend to be very innovative. Their jigs are ordinary but effective, and their hard baits can run the gambit of either really good or really terrible, depending on what you're throwing and how you're throwing it. Overall, though, I honestly think that Googan Baits are way better than people give them credit for. They usually associate the Googan squad with the Googan Baits, and they've cast them in an unfair light to begin with, and it just never goes away. I know some anglers who would rather be dangled by their toes over a pit of boiling acid filled with piranhas than ever fish a Googan Bait. And that's fine. But for me, I enjoy using them. They're highly effective, and I've caught a lot of fish on them. If someone were to ask me if I recommend them, I would have to say yes. I would stay away from the clickbait, but that's just me. Anyway, I hope this review was helpful and you got something out of it. If you have any questions or comments, please feel free to leave them in the comment section below. As always, thanks for watching, and we'll catch you in the next one.